Hello, my wonderful listener. My name is Cheba Kalista from Igbo and Basic Education for Everyone. Visit www.bekene.com/ibefe to buy this content and more. I welcome you to this episode of online teaching. Since our page is for Igbo and basic education for everyone, I'm going to take you mathematics, basic mathematics for everyone. Brace yourself for this amazing lesson. Father went out, he got a pizza for his kid. He has 4 kids. He divided the pizza into 4 equal parts. He gave Vincent one of the parts. He gave Perpetual the other part. He gave Collins the other part, and lastly he gave Anthony the last part. My question is, what should we call the parts of the pizza he gave to each of his children? Very good. The part is called 1/4. That is 1/4. So the man gave 1/4 each of the pizza to his kids. And that brings us to the topic we have today, fraction. Before we go into we proceed, let's look into the objective of this lesson. By the end of this lesson, you are expected to define fraction, mention 3 kinds of fraction, identify kinds of fraction, change improper fraction to mixed fraction, change mixed fraction to improper fraction, change fraction to decimal, and equally change decimal to fraction. And appreciate the lesson by asking a question. Let's quickly go over to the first objective, meaning of fraction. Fraction is a part of a whole, especially a comparatively small part that has a numerator and a denominator, usually written one above the other and separated by a horizontal bar. Now look at the example. 3/4. 3/4. 3 is the numerator and 4 is the denominator. Numerator is the part of a fraction that is usually written on top of a horizontal line, and denominator is a part of a fraction that is written under the horizontal line. Look at this example also. 9/8. 9/8. 9 is the numerator and the 8 is the denominator. Look at this example. A whole being divided into 2 equal parts. When a whole is being divided into 2 equal parts, one part is called half. One part is called what? Half. And half is written as 1/2 as a fraction. 1/2 as a fraction. Looking at this whole is being divided into 3 equal parts. It's being divided into 3 equal parts. One part is known as 1/3. 1/3, that is 1/3 as a fraction. 1/3. Looking at a cake divided into 4 parts. A cake divided into 4 parts. 1/4 is known as 1/4. That is one part taken out of the cake is known as 1/4. That's 1/4 as a fraction. Now let's look at this example of fraction. 2 circles being one is being divided into 10 equal parts and the other one is being divided into 10 equal parts. So the two of them, that is the 20th, 13 is being shaded out of the 20th. That is why we have 13/10. 13/10, that is 13 tenths. 13 tenths. Looking at the examples, you will notice that some fractions have smaller number on top and bigger number under, and bigger number on top and smaller number under. That is what we mean by vice versa. So that brings us to the kinds of fraction we have. We have three main kinds of fraction. We have proper fraction. Proper fractions are numbers less than 1 unit. Numbers less than 1 unit. In proper fraction, the top number is smaller than the number under. That is to say, the numerator is smaller than the denominator. For example, 3/4, 5/8, 7/10. Looking at these examples, you will notice that the numerator is smaller than the denominator. Let's look into another kind of fraction, improper fraction. Improper fractions are numbers bigger than 1 unit. Numbers bigger than 1 unit. In improper fraction, the numerator is bigger than the denominator. For examples, 5/4, 9/8, 13/10, and so on. Looking at this example, you will notice that 5, 9, 13, which are the numerator, are bigger than the denominators. Let's look into the examples of improper fraction. Looking at these two, a circle. This is a circle and the other one is a circle. That is, it's more than 1 unit. It is more than what? 1 unit. That is what we meant that improper fraction is a fraction that is bigger than 1 unit. And looking at this one circle, it's being divided into 8 parts and the other one is being divided into 8 parts. So out of the 8 parts, the eighth circled, the eighth circled divided into parts, you will see that 9 is being shaded. That is what we know by 9/8. That is 9/8. 9/8. Hope you got that now. So let's go over to another kind of fraction, which is mixed fraction. Mixed fractions are fractions consisting of whole numbers and proper fraction. Consisting of whole numbers and proper fraction. For examples, 1 whole number, 1/8, 2 whole number, 3/4, 1 whole number, 7/8, 3 whole number, 2/3. Looking at this example, you will see that we have a whole number and a proper fraction. So let's look into changing improper fraction to mixed fraction. Changing improper fraction to mixed fraction. So if you are asked to change 6/4 to mixed fraction, 6/4 to mixed fraction, what are you going to do? You are going to divide the numerator by the denominator. Dividing the numerator by the denominator. So 6 divided by 4 will give you 1. When 4 people share 6 items, when 4 people share 6 items, they will get 1 remainder 2. So that one that they will get is the whole number and the remainder will serve as the numerator. All over 4. The denominator should remain constant. So looking at this answer, 1 whole number, 2/4, you will see that we can reduce it to its lowest term, bringing it down to its lowest term. Then how are we going to do that? You're going to look for a number that will divide the numerator and the denominator without remainder. So we are going to use 2 because we know that 2 can divide the denominator and the numerator without remainder. So 2 divide 2, 1, 2 divide 4, 2, and that is how we got our final answer. One whole number 1/2. So example number 2, if you are given change 14/6 to mixed fraction. Change 14/6 to mixed fraction. What are you going to do? The same way you did the first one. Divide the numerator by the denominator. So 14 divided by 6 will give you 2 whole number 2/6. Looking at this answer, you will notice that we can still reduce it to its lowest term by looking for a number that can divide the numerator and the denominator without remainder. So we use 2. 2 divide 2 will get 1. 2 divide 6 we get 3. And that is how we arrive at this point. The result, 2 whole number 1/3. Let's look to the third example. When you are asked to change 15/2 to mixed fraction, the same way you solve others. 15 divided by 2. 15 divided by 2 will give you 7 whole number 1/2. 7 whole number 1/2. So looking at the proper fraction there, you will notice that you cannot reduce this to its lowest term because it's already at its lowest term, and there is no number that you use to divide them without getting a remainder. Okay, so that is why we are leaving it at that point. Okay, look at number 4 example. Change 10/3 to mixed fraction. Change 10/3 to mixed fraction. So 10 divided by 3 will give you 3 whole number 1/3. So let's look into changing mixed fraction to improper fraction. Changing mixed fractions to improper fraction. So if you're given 3 whole number 2/3 and you are asked to change it to improper fraction, what are you going to do? You are going to times the denominator and the numerator, or you can say times the whole number by the denominator, and the denominator, whichever way you choose, still give you the same answer. So 3 whole number times the denominator, which is 3. 3 times 3 gives you 9. Then plus the numerator. Plus what? The numerator. The denominator there is 2. So 9 plus 2 will give you 11 all over 3. Remember, in fraction, the denominator remains constant. The denominator remains constant as far as you are changing, whether in proper fraction or in mixed fraction. The denominator remains what? Constant. So let's look into number 2 example. Change 2 whole number 1/8 to improper fraction. So the whole number times the denominator, or the denominator times the whole number, whichever way. So 8 times 2 will give you 16. 16 plus 1 will give you 17 all over the denominator, which remains constant. So number 3 example. 1 whole number 3/4. 1 whole number 3/4 has changed to improper fraction. So 4 times 1 equals to 4, plus the numerator, which is 3. So 4 plus 3 will give you 7 all over 4. Change the fourth example. Change 9 whole number 3/4 to improper fraction. So 9 times 4, 4 times 9 will give you 36. 36 plus the numerator will give you 39 all over 4. So let's look into changing fraction to decimal. Changing fraction to decimal. So before we go over to that, let's look into what decimal is all about. Decimal means to separate with numbers after a decimal point. Decimal means to separate with numbers after a decimal point. Decimal fractions can separate from whole numbers by a decimal point. Decimal fractions are separated from whole numbers by a decimal point. So numbers before decimal points are whole numbers, and number from after the decimal points are decimal fraction. So for examples, 3 over 3.4. 3.4 is an example of a decimal fraction. That is 3 whole number, 0.4 the fraction. Okay, 2.04, 2.04, 0.48, 6.004, and so on. Okay, so any number you see in this form is known as decimal fraction. So how are we going to read a decimal point? 1/10, that is 1 over 10 in fraction, is being read as 0.1 in decimal. Okay, 100, that is 1 over 100 as a fraction, is read as 0.01. 1000, that is 1 over 1000, is read as 0.001. I hope you got that. Okay, so now let's go into change the following to decimal. But before we go that, I want you to look at this. This instruction says divide by 10 for fractions with 1 decimal place. Divide by 100 for fractions with 2 decimal places. Divide by 1000 for fractions with 3 decimal places. Let's go back and look at the example. So if you're asked to change 8 over 10 to decimal, what are you going to do? Use 10 to divide 8. And when 10 divide 8 in this action, you will say it cannot go. For that reason, you write 0 points, and that 0 point will give you the power to write 0 or to add 0 at 8, making it 80. So when 10 people divide 80 items, all of them will be getting 8. All of them will be getting what? 8. And that's how we got to this answer, 0.8. So second example, 4 divide 100, it cannot go. 4 divided by 100, it cannot go. So you write 0 points and add 40. You divide again, add 0 and add 0. You divide again and get 4. So that is how we arrive to this answer, 0.04. So in this number 3 example, 8 whole number, 34 over 1000 changed to decimal. In this case, forget about the whole number and solve 34 over 1000 like we did previously. When you get your answer, you add it with 8. You add it with what? 8, and that will give you 8.034. So number 4, if you are asked to change 1 over 2 to decimal, what you are going to do is use 2 to divide 1. And when 2 divide 1, we say it cannot go here in fraction. That, and you write 0 point. That 0 point will now give you the power to add 0 at 1, making it 10. So 2 divide 10 will give you 5, and that's how we got to this answer, 0.5. Okay, so now changing decimal to fraction. Changing decimal to fraction, you look at this. This is times by 10, times by 10 if it is in 1 decimal place, times by 100 if it is 2 decimal places, times by 1000 if it is in 3 decimal places. Okay, looking at this example, you can change this to mixed fraction and also change it to improper fraction. So when you times 5.6 by 10, you get what? 36 over 10. Or you forget about the whole number and say 6 times 10 give you 6 over 10 plus the whole number, and that is why we get the fraction. So you can pause here and look very attentively to these examples. I hope you get something there. If you did not get anything, try to contact me. I'm going to give you or show you how to contact me by the end of this lesson. So we talked about fraction, and we said that a fraction is a part of a whole, and we have kinds of fraction. We have 3 kinds of fraction. Proper fraction, we know proper fraction because the numerator is smaller than the denominator. Improper fraction, the numerator is bigger than the denominator. And in mixed fraction, it contains whole number and proper fraction. We can change improper fraction to mixed fraction. We can also change mixed fraction to improper fraction. We can also change fraction to decimal and equally change decimal to fraction. Please, I want you to ask me questions concerning this lesson. Okay, I'm going to give you assignment, and I believe that you're going to do great. And I want you to submit this assignment. It's very, very important, so I will know how far you understood this lesson. So number 1 assignment, what is fraction? Number 2, mention 3 kinds of fraction and explain. Number 3, change 8 over 3 to mixed fraction. Number 4, change 3 whole number 3 over 4 to improper fraction. Another one is change 2 over 3 to decimal. The other one is change 0.5 to fraction, and change 2.5 to mixed fraction. I hope you're going to get all these answers correctly. So for further studies, you can visit your Macmillan Champion Primary Mathematics Basic 4. Okay, it's going to help you a lot. Okay, for your online studies, okay, visit www.bekenet.com to buy this content and more. For submission of assignments and further questions, you can contact me through my WhatsApp number 0806247586. Or you can contact me through my email address calistamagdalene@gmail.com. Remember, this is Chama Calista from Igbo and Basic Education for Everyone. This is time for me to sign out. See you in our next lesson. Bye bye.